You guys have no idea how hard this shit was to do. My welder needs to be cleaned again, and I didn't even know it until like later on. One of the hangers. I'll show you right now a little example of what I mean. Here is this spring right here. I got this bolt, right? The first time that I did one of these, didn't go down all the way. It was basically going in like that. What I did was I had to take a grinder, a brand new fucking grinder, so I could get into these little grooves here. To take it off, move the stabilizer back, and now this bolt can go all the way through. It has room. We have this part, right? This, right? And I gave it plenty of room so that it's gonna go in just like that. Now the axle can move freely without any interruptions or anything like that. So this here is exactly how it's supposed to go. I like to give it more room. Alright. I'm gonna be taking this board off because I have to take the leaf springs off, the old ones. Alright guys, so I'm taking this part here off real quick. It was just part of the old axles. I'm saving the old shackle links from my old Tandem axle. Let me explain why. I made new ones, right? They're not circled enough at the top. I'm not going to take the extra time and put in the grind work to actually make something happen that is going to be wasting my time in the future. Now, let me explain further. These shackle links that were on previously on the previous Tandem axle, which were surface rust, I could reuse those. All I have to do is just replace the shackle bolts. That's all I have to do. Now, as for the links, I saved those. I got them off, hammered them off. They're perfectly straight, perfectly healthy. They only have surface rust, and they go on much more tighter than what the hell I made. I'm be salvaging as much as I can from the old Tandem axles. I ended up getting some plastic bushings, but I'm not going to be using those. I'm going to be using some metal bushings for my trailer, and the ones that I have now, the bushings are bronze bushings. Anyways, they're going to go in here. These are going to go up like this. One on the other side also. Shackle bolts are going to go in here as well. This is a 1/4 inch plate that I'm cutting up. As you guys can see, I drew a square in the middle of it. The whole thing is supposed to go on the outside, and it's supposed to be attaching to the axle on the trailer. What this is made for is to stop the wheel from going on the inside of the trailer, but also it's going to be locked on the outside. That way it'll still be secure, and I can still be able to drive it on the side, change tire, whichever. So that's what that is all for. I did cut the squares a little bit too wide, but I also made it work by welding the fucking shit out of it. It was about a 1/4 inch wider than what I wanted it all the way around. And, you know, mistakes happen, but you gotta make it work. Cutting out some more 1/4 inch plate that I found around the yard, I ended up cutting some plates out from the U-bolts. Now, I also ended up drilling these holes that the U-bolts go into. Mind you, I'm using squared U-bolts for my axles. I ended up cutting all of them out with a cutoff wheel and torching them with my acetylene torch, and also bending them and also quenching them. Next, we're going to quench it in water. What we have is we're going to put the axle on here, but first what I'm going to do is put on this seat right here. the other one. So this is all I'm going to do. I'm going to put on these nuts real quick. Time to let down that duck on this one. Come over here. Alright, let me look at the other axle. We got it. Here are the trailer parts codes. Put one plate right here. Show you how it fits perfectly. And now I'm gonna put these puppies up in here like this. Remember, nylon nuts. That's what's gonna go in here. So what I'm putting on this trailer is a boat hub. It does not have any brakes. For putting on my 5 lug by 4.5, how you measure that is like a star pattern from top to bottom, eye to eye in the middle of the lug itself. What is going on in the middle of this hub is a shit ton of grease, and you have your outer and inner race. The inner race is at the back of the hub where it goes onto the spindle itself. Now the outer race goes on towards the outside where obviously your rim goes. Then on the outside where your rim goes on to the outer bearing, which is how you load the grease from the bottom and you just flick it on your hand. Then you have your spindle washer that there also locks in a certain way. Then you have your axle nut. So I have two different hubs on both of my axles here, but they're pretty much the same thing. Then you have your cotter pin, which goes in between the axle nut. It does not lock. You just have to tighten it really, really tight and get the cotter pin in there. Then you have to take your pliers on the inside of the cotter pin and then bend the longer part in. That way it locks in for itself. Then you have your dust cap going into the actual hub itself towards the axle. You have your inner bearing, which is locked inside of your hub. And then this one here actually didn't even come with them. Both of them didn't. And then you have your double seal, which is replaceable, but it's a bitch to get out. So I just left them in there, and in the future I will replace them because I know how to take it apart. I'm taking this hub, and there's some fucked up lugs on here, and I'm taking a 16th off the lugs in order for the nuts to go on. All I'm gonna do is take a 16 off using the grinder. I took a 16th off of all the other ones. They should all fit just fine. Maybe not. Okay, yeah, this one's fucked up too. We're gonna cut it. And it fits uneven. Very, very slowly. What? Now we have all the lugs off. I'm gonna put this tire on, and it should be okay. Now that I fixed the problem. And I don't have to spend money on a huge ass C channel. This needs to go up just a little bit more. And then we'll be able to see if we need to get some more capacity in here and whatnot. We might just have luck. These ones don't look too bad on this side, so I'm not gonna worry too much. All I wanted to see is if these tires are gonna be okay. This is my process of doing it. Oh my god, it has been a fucking day. I didn't want to film it because it took me 3 hours just to figure this out. So, long story short, the ass end of this trailer was up way up high. So I ended up taking the axles off, taking the tires, rotating everything from the bottom up. So now the axles are sitting on top of the leaf springs. There is a difference of 1 inch or 2 between both of the leaf springs. Let me show you. So those leaf springs right there have 8 springs on them, right? This one over here, this one here has 7 on it, that spring, the front spring. Also got to account for this big old beam that I put in. It's 4 inches, so this also lifts everything up, which made the ass end go up. So I flipped everything. I took the U-bolts off, everything like that, and now everything sits perfectly level. I do, however, have to bring up the flooring of the diamond plate up maybe about 1 inch, half an inch, just to make it work, because these wheels here I got for free. These ones here I had to buy. These are 15s and they're 5 lug by 4.5. Alright, so I did the best that I can and brainstormed and shit. The only option that I have at this point is to 1, order more diamond plate. 2, the wells are going to end right here. The other ones are going to end over there. The one thing that we're going to have to end up doing is lifting up the wells from here about 3 inches. To give it that extra room, we're going to have to go at least 3 to 4 inches, and it's something that I didn't want to do. But you can always just go to Home Depot and buy 4x4s and transport stuff that way. Never get rid of the wood, and that'll be that.